على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا ونبينا طبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا مولانا بالقاسم محمد مصطفى. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وصل على أئمة المسلمين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. May our mothers and fathers and our children be sacrificed for him. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا سيد الشهداء. فيا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق الصادقين وقوله الحق يريدون أن يطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. For the hastening and the reappearance of our Mawla and Master, and for the vengeance of the blood of those who died on Karbala, please recite وَاللَّهُ صَلَوَاتُ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِ مُحَمَّدٍ. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
My condolences to the brothers and sisters here, to Hani and Mirza, to our mother, who's definitely mourning in this time, Lady Fatima, to the Imam of our time on the martyrdom anniversary of Sayyid al-Shuhada and the Shuhada of Karbala. Brothers and sisters, there is a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. When he went to Mi'raj, the Prophet ﷺ saw next to the throne of Allah, what? إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنِ مِصْبَاحُ الْهُدَى وَصَفِينَةُ النِّجَاةِ. Hussein, by the throne of Allah we mean the realities of this world, not this apparent world, the reality of this apparent world. On that it was engraved, Hussein is a lamp of guidance, is a torch of guidance, and an ark of salvation. It didn't specify for who. Indeed, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is an ark of salvation for all of humanity, for everyone to benefit from him. Muslim, non-Muslim, Shia, Sunni. Imam Hussein is that one point of unification where no one with the same mind and an apple to think with can come and say he was wrong. Can come and say he didn't do what was right. No one. No one can come and say with the same mind and an apple that Yazid did something right to Imam Hussein. If someone does say that, it is because they're jahil completely. They have no hope for guidance. If they believe that and they don't accept the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, so that we can accomplish this message and revive this message within our lives, please recite Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Brothers and sisters, for the past few nights we have been discussing a topic, reviving the Islamic ideology. We started off by discussing what is this Islamic ideology. The first quality of it, quality of truth, al-haq. Second quality of it, fitra, the human nature, fitrat Allah allati fatara an-nas alayha. The third quality of it, moderation. كَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. The fourth quality, adala, justice. كَذَلِكَ وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَاتُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا. We completed the word of God truthfully and justly. And then the fifth quality which we discussed last night, knowledge. It's a knowledgeable ideology. It's an intellectual ideology. And then on that we brought many verses. The most important of all the verses was إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ عُلَمَاء. Indeed, those who fear God, the only one among his servants who fear God are his scholars. So our goal is to become scholars. As we aim to become scholars, we must realize that we all have a duty, which is to protect an identity, which is to protect an ideology. So first, we discussed what this ideology requires. 5 qualities. There are many more, but we summed it up to these 5 qualities. Next, we want to discuss, now we have this ideology, what is it? How do we practically revive it? How do we make an identity out of it? And that's inshallah tonight's topic. زين أصواتكم بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So brothers and sisters, what is an identity? Basically, when we're talking about an identity, we are discussing. Sorry, I apologize. Please accept Allah salawat An identity of what is how he looks at himself, based on how he looks at himself, his actions will dictate automatically. I look at myself in such a way, hence my actions will be such. Remember, in the first lecture we discussed how are we supposed to look at others. How are we supposed to look at this world? Through the lens of truth, to the framework of reality. Similarly, we should also be looking at ourselves through the realms of reality, through the realms of truth, not through the realms of illusion, through the lens of illusion. Based on this identity, you can know what I will do. I have defined myself in such a manner. And because I have defined myself in such a manner, I'll act based on such a manner. A lot of Muslims, the reason why we see they don't act on their faith, the reason why they take some of their faith, when they'll come to the masjid, they'll wear the hijab, they'll do these things, but for example, they won't do Allah doing ma'ruf. It is because they haven't established a proper identity. Their identity is different from what they're practicing. Hence, they won't practice Islam in its completeness. everyone has multiple identities. And sometimes these identities are clashing with each other. For example, and let me give you an example. Your friends call you, they want to go and hang out. At the same time, your mother calls you, and you want to hang out with your mother too, right? The one you choose preference to, that identity of yours is closer to you. It defines you more. I choose to go with my mother, hence I'm more of a family person than a friends person, right? See, these two identities clash. Sometimes we here, living in the West, have an identity like Muslim, like Islam. I am a Muslim. And then we have, for example, this, we have African American, we have Indian, we have Irani, we have Arab, all these identities. And sometimes the culture clashes with this, right? We see this happen. We all have multiple identities. Remember, brothers and sisters, our goal is to revive an ideology that is more fundamental than your identity. Brothers and sisters, what is the Islamic identity? We have discussed what identities do. Identities is the way how I look at myself, and that dictates your action. If I look at myself as a liberal perspective, of course, I will have a liberal action. If I dictate myself as a conservative identity, red state, blue state, you hear these terms on the news, I will dictate my actions in a conservative manner. if I dictate my identity to be a hijabi, at the same time I dictate my identity to be, for example, a liberal, I will give preference to one or the other when they clash. And that identity that you give preference to, you have made the identity closer to you. Brothers and sisters, now we want to discuss, and by the way, let me tell you guys one thing. This topic of Islamic identity, give me an ashra, I'll do the whole ashra just on this one lecture. What is the Islamic identity? Brothers and sisters, in Islam, you, as a human being, have a certain value, an innate value, and that value must be defined as your identity. That value is complete neediness. Remember what we discussed in the first lecture? You look at the way God looks at you. You don't look at the way how others look at you. You don't look at yourself the way I look at you, the way He looks at you. No, the way God looks at you, the way is the correct way of looking at yourself. Looking at others the way God looks at them, not the way you want to look at them. That is the Islamic framework. Similarly, the Islamic identity functions on this. أنتم يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. O mankind, you as a human being, you're nothing. You are faqir. You are needy for who? For Allah. No one else, not the government, not the masjid, for Allah. Hence, everything is seen through a lens of neediness. We discussed this in the first lecture. I'm repeating myself. That's why Allah addresses mankind as Ya Ibadi, my servant. Ya Ibadi alladhi asrafu ala anfusihim, for example. Oh, my servant who has wasted himself, do this. Brothers and sisters, this identity that you have, that Allah has made you with, that identity has the solve, has a solution from the problem. Because that's your reality. If you acknowledge your reality, half your problems will be resolved, and the other half are just to be resolved right there. Neediness is your nature. That is why we always feel like going after something more. Again, second lecture, fitra. We always see our nature, our inclination are based on how God has made us. We have changed our fitrah, but God made us needy, in need for Him to gain more. We're always after gaining more. Allah gave us everything, hence we are in need of Him for even our survival, for every moment of our breathing. Our creation is being renewed. We're being created again and again. Khaliq, creation was not something that was created once. No, it's being created all the time. Our reality is that we're in need to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even for our existence at this moment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Insan, in the first 3 verses, هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Has there been a period in time for when man has nothing of worthy of mentioning of? Allah made you not even worthy of mentioning of. That's how you originally were. You were just clay. You're not worthy of mentioning of. And Allah continues, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِن نُطْفَةٍ أَمْشَاجٍ نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا. Indeed, we created man from a drop mix of fluids. It was only a fluid that made you. And we put him to test. And we endowed him with hearing and sight. After Allah made you very insignificant, then He gave you hearing and sight. Indeed, we have guided him to the way. Be he ungrateful or grateful. إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَكُورًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Whether he likes it or not, we guided him so that virtue in mankind was placed by Allah. Otherwise, we're not even worth mentioning them. That's how much needy we are in Allah, that He gives us our identity. Remember the second lecture we discussed, فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. That ruh that defined you as a human was given to you by Allah. From Himself, not from anyone else. Hence, you're only needy of Him. Brothers and sisters, we have a term in philosophy, and I don't want to get much into philosophy, known as mumkin al-wujud. Mankind is known as possible existence. It's not even necessary existence. We are known as possible existence. You have to realize your identity. You have to realize your status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where are you and where is God? That's why when God tells you to do something, and some Muslims start questioning it. Why? Because they don't see themselves needing to Allah. They haven't solidified their identity. They're having an identity crisis. And inshallah, what is an identity crisis? Right? We say we have been, okay, brother, you're correct, fine, I admit. The Quran is correct. I'm not correct, the Quran is correct. When it comes to our identity, we have been created by nature and needy for God. We're nothing without God. Why is there an identity crisis? Very simple. I acknowledge La ilaha illallah. I worship God 5 times a day. I pray to God. I ask Him for everything. Why would you still say there's an identity crisis? What is an identity crisis? Brothers and sisters, living here in the West, what has happened is a lot of immigrants can testify to this actually. People who moved in. When they see their children going into weird stuff, they are completely shocked. They don't know how to react to. People living here are used to it. We have been desensitized about this. We have been desensitized about Western philosophy and the Western thought process. Hani, one day, your son brings in a girlfriend, a boyfriend. All of a sudden, you just have to accept it. You don't have any other choice but to accept it. Why? Because we have been desensitized. It's been made okay. I see my friends at school doing this, going to prom, doing all of these things, having a boyfriend. Eventually, once they go into college, drinking alcohol, doing drugs. Maulana, brother, why can I not do this? Why do I have to stay away from it? Because you are a servant. God knows what's best for you. But see, the mindset, the identity of the human has changed. Human has been limited to something. His potential, his actuality, his real identity has been limited to something, hence has been changed. That is why we're going through an identity crisis. Parents ask, why are my children not listening to what I have to say? Children wonder, why do I have to follow what Islam tells us? Parents sometimes wonder, why do I have to follow what my deen tells me to do? Why do I have to follow, brother, Maulana, you know why? Brother, why couldn't they have 2 rakat salat in the evening instead of, or during noontime, so that we can get off of work, quickly pray and take our lunch break? Right? Or why couldn't God have made it 15 rak'ah at night and then skip the morning and noon prayers? Right? Why? You know, we start asking all of these questions. We're asking these questions because we hadn't realized our identity. There's a crisis. There is a clash between our work life and our Islamic life. There's a clash between our sleep schedule and what Islam tells us to do. Our identity changes. I classify myself as a late night person. That's why I question why there's scheduling. I classify myself as an early morning person. That's why I question why there's Maghrib. See, brothers and sisters, that's when there's a clash. And it Actually, let me bring this verse later. Please recite Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know something about today's lecture, just a side note. I had it organized in a certain manner, but then I was speaking with someone this morning, so I changed that organization. I kind of changed it up, so that's why if I apologize in advance. It may seem like I'm not that prepared. I prepared these lectures months in advance. It's now that I've come and I've changed some things, and that's why I'm not prepared. Please recite one more We want to examine why is there an identity crisis. Brothers and sisters, the Quran tells us, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا بقوم بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. The Quran tells us, this verse is by the way so popular. I'm sure we have alternatives. It's in Surah Al-Hujurat, verse number 6. Oh, you who believe, if a sinner, if a corrupt person, fasiq literally means someone or something that has corruption to it, that isn't on the right path. He hasn't identified himself. Binada brings you any news. Research it. Find the truth in the news. Is this news truthful? Is what he's telling me, this person, this fasiq who's coming to me, if what he's telling me is true, then I'll accept it. If not, then it's false. Brothers and sisters, the first clue is here. Fasiq. Someone who is not acquainted with Islam comes and teaches you how to think. The education system. We discussed yesterday, how has the education system been so carefully formulated to give you information, but not make you think, not make you make that information knowledge. That lack of transfer from information to knowledge has given a sense of fisq, lie, a sense of immorality in how we think. Brothers and sisters, it is very careful to understand where we get our news from, who do we go back to when it comes to our ideology. Are we getting our ideology from the Quran, or are we getting our ideology from these Western public figures, from these public schools, from what they have taught us, from what they have engraved to us in our brains? When you go to school, be careful, question what they think, question how they think, question what they tell you to think. Don't just sit there silently. So the first process of getting rid of an identity crisis is having a clear thought process, thinking through things, identifying yourself first and foremost, knowing your value, how valuable and how honorable you are because of God, not independent of God. Your value is dependent upon Him. Identifying things, thinking about it, researching, learning more. That's the first thing. Imam Hussein aimed to revive this Islamic identity. What was the second thing? Reform within yourself. Self-building. Once you have that knowledge, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to actualize that information in your life? If you're going to actualize that information in your life, you have a level of self-building. I'm going to purify myself. I am going to become a Muslim like Prophet Ibrahim was. Prophet Ibrahim, brothers and sisters, interesting story. Prophet Ibrahim, in his life, it's mentioned in the Quran, he would question things, and from there he was able to revive that fitra within himself. Prophet Ibrahim said, I saw this, I looked at the sun, I questioned it, I looked at the moon and questioned it. Is this my God? This is not my God. Is this my God? No, this is not my God. After he arrived at the conclusion conclusion that all of these are not his God, and he says, I stood up on this religion, Hanifan. And he was given the title of Hanif, someone who's truthful. He identified himself, he had a level of identity through what? Through first questioning, then actualizing that knowledge within his life. He built an ideology of Hanif. Brothers and sisters, next we have to learn how to defend our religion. This ideology crisis has been created because why? Because we decided to live as second-class citizens. We are not Americans in the true sense of it. We are blinded. We are taught to be slaves of others. We're taught to follow how the white man follows things. That's why. We looked at ideal society and we followed it. We didn't defend that identity that we knew we had. Brothers and sisters, we have to know how to defend ourselves. We are Muslims, for God's sake. We are representing God on this earth. We are Khalifatullah. We are the Nahnu Abna al-Dalil. We are the children of arguments. Learn how to defend your religion. Either by going to the Hawza. If not, there's so many ways to do it. Learn logic. Learn how to argue. Learn how to prove yourself. Learn how to defend your ideology. When Islam says something, learn how to defend it. I'm not here as a blind Muslim. I'm here as a Muslim who will establish his religion in a non-Muslim country. In a country of fisq. In a country where kufr is openly celebrated. I am here to defend my religion. And how will I do that? By identifying myself as a Muslim. And hence I have restored that identity. That identity has been built. Brothers and sisters, when defending our religion, we must learn how to be smart. زين أصواتكم على الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Please send one more salawat. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. We have to be smart. What does Imam Ali say? Al-Mu'min al-Kayyis. The Mu'min is who has established himself as an Islamic figure. An Islamic identity has been established in his life. How is he? He is smart. I want to share this story with you to get a few laughs out of the audience too, right? It's a very funny story. In our history, we have a companion by the name of Sa'sa ibn Sulhan. Sa'sa was one of the close companions of Imam Ali. After the arbitration in Siffin, Imam Ali basically took an oath from Muawiyah, basically a promise that he would not hurt a few companions. And Sa'sa was one of them. Now Sa'sa was one day in Dimashq, was in Sham, where Muawiyah was, right? And he was in front of Muawiyah, he was sitting in the audience. And Muawiyah said to him, you know, Muawiyah had been stung so much by Sa'sa, he was so smart, he always insulted Muawiyah. Now Muawiyah was upset with Sa'sa. So Muawiyah basically told him, Ya Sa'sa, I wish I had never taken that oath to protect you. I wish I could kill you. Sa'sa was like, I wish you were never in the position to be called Amir al-Mu'minin in the first place. He was like, okay, this man's smart. He's a smart person. And he says, and he tried to over-smart. He tried to be even more smart than him. He's like, Sa'sa, why don't you come, I'll give you the minbar. Come up and curse Hani ibn Abi Talib. Sa'sa was like, what an opportunity. Why don't I take advantage of this? Sa'sa went to that minbar and said, أيها الناس إني قد جئت رجلا قدم شره وأخر خيره. Indeed, a man has called me to this pulpit whose good is hidden and whose evil is everlasting. وإنه أمرني ألعن علي بن أبي طالب فلعنوه يلعن الله عليه. He has commanded me to curse Ali ibn Abi Talib. So may curse be unto him, may Allah's curse be unto him. Everyone in the crowd was like, Ameen. Everyone said Ameen. They thought he was cursing Muawiyah. Muawiyah was visibly upset after this. After he got to the minbar, he told one person, Wallah ma arada bidalik illa ana. He never meant anything except for me. Look at the smartness of this person. He fooled the whole audience to believe that he was cursing Ali ibn Abi Talib while he was cursing Muawiyah. Look at how smart he was. And Muawiyah, this smartness, recognized what he did. But he couldn't do anything because he got into the level. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is actually a good transition to the next point I want to make. Establishing role models. This is especially for the parents in the room and for the children. Find your role model. Establish role models. Be good role models. Why? A lot of the time, the reason why people go astray from this Islamic identity is because they don't have people to look up to in this. That's why teach history. The reason why I brought the story up. Why do people laugh at the story? Why do people take inspiration from people like Hassan and so on? So many stories where he outsmarted Muawiyah, so many funny stories from his life. People like Bahrud. There's a book on Bahrud. Go read it. Stories on him. Bahrud literally means someone who is crazy. Bahrud Dana, they call him. Someone who's crazy. But he outsmarted the caliphs of his time due to his craziness. People like Hujr ibn Abi. Who are these people? These are role models for us. Have we heard half their names? No. So I said, so let me tell you, brothers and sisters, I didn't know his name until way into my studies in the household. Point being, role models are important. Be a role model yourself. Go look at the Seerah of Rasulullah. They're great books. Come to me after this lecture. I'll recommend 4 or 5 books to you right here. And they're not just any ordinary books. They're good books to read. They're easy reads. They can be purchased online. It's in English. Good translations. I'm telling you the story of them. There's one book that I would actually like to recommend to you guys. Al-Rasul Al-Rasul by Shaykh Muharram. Stories of the infallible, stories of the Ahlul Bayt, anecdotes of the pious, anecdotes of the Ahlul Bayt that can be found online. Stories with so much lessons. Why? Why did Allah send so many stories in the Quran? From Yusuf, from Musa, from Ibrahim, from Yaqub, to Isa, to Adam, to Muhammad. Of course, that was in the order. Why did he send all these stories? So that we can take lessons from it. So that we can establish an identity with it. Quran was a book of establishing an identity. It was there so that we can get an identity from it. Hence, we should take a lesson from it. What are the stories it's presenting? What life lessons can we learn from it? Brothers and sisters, through these stories, through these principles, that the Ahlul Bayt, and that the Quran said, we can learn how to live in a non-Muslim society while propagating the message of Ahlul Bayt, Islam. We are not indifferent to others. We are living here in this country as citizens, some of us born here, as messengers for the message of Ahlul Bayt. Don't underestimate the mission you have been assigned with. It's serious. It's a major mission. It's important for us to learn how to defend our religion while living here. First by getting getting that intellect. Second, by improving yourself in your daily life, setting an example for others. Third, by being smart when defending your religion. Fourth, by establishing role models. And fifth, by practically defending and doing amr bil ma'ruf and nahi anil munkar. Brothers and sisters, what did we say? The first hadith we brought in this ashra was from Imam al-Hussein, and I want to revisit this narration. هذا ما أوصي حسين بن علي بن أبي طالب إلى أخيه محمد معروف ابن الحنفية أن الحسين يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله جاء بالحق من الحق وأن الجنة والنار حق وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها. Imam Hussein, what he did was he established principles of the truth. Then he said, إني لا أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا مفسدا ولا ظلما. I am not exiting this city أشرا, joyfully, بطرا, because I'm arrogant, مفسدا, to cause corruption, ظلما, to cause oppression. إنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي. I am exiting this nation, this city, to reform the nation of my grandfather. أريد أن أمر بالمعروف نهيا عن المنكر. I want to command the good and forbid the evil. This is what I want to focus on. How do we command the good and forbid the evil? Firstly, by not being indifferent to the issues of society, not being indifferent to poverty, not being indifferent to the different minorities who are facing racial injustice in this country. Think about it. Brothers and sisters, our Islam is here. We have to focus here. What is our responsibility in living here? Understanding that responsibility will create a sense of identity to us. Responsibility creates identity. So brothers and sisters, that is, and we have been tasked by this, we have been assigned by this. Whether we do it or not, Allah Himself will do it. Speaking against injustice, reviving the Islamic ideology in our society, inviting others to Islam, creating that sense of identity, creating that sense of I'm a Shia and I have a voice. I have a say in things. I am not a second-class citizen. In fact, I'm above a first-class citizen. I have pride in my religion. Brothers and sisters, don't get it wrong. Don't think that if we don't do this, the religion will die. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, this is the verse that I brought up at the beginning. I want you guys to pay attention to this. يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. They attempt, the enemies of Islam, they attempt to extinguish the light of God. But God perfects His light, even though the disbelievers don't like it. Well, I don't care what the disbelievers think. We are here with a mission, brothers and sisters. We are here with a responsibility. It is important to defend your religion, to know how to defend it, then to defend it properly, in the right field, in the battlefield that you're facing. Islam has a say on every topic. Research what Islam has to say on this particular topic. Using the principles of the Islamic ideology that we discussed last night. Brothers and sisters, I want to discuss something that happened and has been happening and will be happening in the future, but it's important for us Muslims to know our responsibility when it comes to it. Brothers and sisters, the Holy Quran has been insulted, they attempted at removing it. They couldn't distort it. They tried making fake versions of this muhkam, of this hikmah, but they weren't able to make fake versions of it. So then they insulted the mushaf itself. This mushaf, this Quran, has a deeper reality than the current physical book. This book, very good, but it has a deeper reality to it. By desecrating the Quran openly in Sweden, what they have done is they have attempted to destroy the physical shape of it. But they don't know that we as Muslims will stand to protect the Quran wherever it is. Whenever it comes to defending the Quran, we will be there. By applying principles of the Quran into your life. When someone questions the Quran and its authenticity, by replying to them with the correct answers, by establishing each and every one of its principles in our life. And that was the goal of Abdullah. أريد أن أمر بالمعروف ونهي عن المنكر وسيرة بسيرة جدي وأبي علي بن أبي طالب. And I wanted to revive the sunnah, the practice of my grandfather and of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So look at what Rasulullah had to say. Again, it goes back to the role model point. Look at what Ali would do in your position. Look at what the Rasul would do in your position.
Sisters, we are here at a time of the Zuhur of the Mahdi. Don't underestimate your potential. Don't underestimate who you are as a person. Because we have a greater mission to accomplish. Brothers and sisters, there was someone. Don't underestimate your age. Don't think you're so less than age. There was someone by the name of Abdullah ibn Hassan. Who was what? He was the son of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. Brothers and sisters, take yourselves to the plains of Karbala. Take yourselves to the plains of Nainawa. Let's take ourselves to Karbala, the dome of Abdullah, Ya Hassan. Sallallahu alayka, Ya Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka, Ya Rasulullah. Brothers and sisters, Abdullah ibn Hassan, the son of Imam Hassan. Some say he was less than age than Hassan ibn Hassan, who was 13-year-old. Some say he was 10 years old. Doesn't matter how young you are. Doesn't matter how old you are. We have examples of Habib ibn Mudahir in their late 70s. In the battlefield, fighting bravely. We have examples of Hani and Asghar, Abdullah al-Rabi fighting. Don't underestimate the age when it comes to protecting your Imam. Protecting your Imam is protecting your identity. Brothers and sisters, Shahidan Hussein was tired in the field of Karbala. Surrounded by all four sides, Hussein fell off the horse. They said there was no one to help Hussein at this moment. Not a single boy, not a single man, except for one. Tabari says that Shimur gathered 10 Kufans on foot and proceeded towards the tent of the lady of Imam Hussein and stood between the tents and Hussein. Imam Hussein said, "Woe be to you if you are an irreligious man and do not fear the day of resurrection, then at least be free-minded." Shimur said, "Oh son of Fatima, look at the audacity of this person. You took the name of Fatima al-Zahra from his mouth. Oh son of Fatima, verily the right is with you." Then he proceeded towards Hussein. Shimur wanted to kill Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He told one of his companions to proceed further. He hesitated. He said, "Why do you not proceed further?" Shimur replied, "You answer back to me." What happens then, brothers and sisters? Zainab was watching from Tilla Zainabiyya as her brother lied in the plains of Karbala.
And he said, Abdullah bin Hassan said, by Allah, I shall not part from my uncle. Then the Mal'oon struck Imam al-Hussein with his sword, and the child said, look at the ma'rifah of this child, look how he protected his Imam. Woe be to you, O son of an ill-natured man, do you intend on killing my uncle? Then the Mal'oon took his sword and struck the arm of Abdullah bin Hassan. The Maqtal narrates that he then cut his hand fully. He cut his hand so much so that it was hanging from some flesh to his shoulder. It was hanging with a piece of flesh and skin. Brothers and sisters, the child cried, Ya Ummi, my mother, come to my aid. Imam folded his arms and said, my nephew, consider this trial to be a blessing for you. Then Imam made dua and cursed the Mal'oon. Sayyid Ibn Tawus narrated that Harmanat the Mal'oon shot an arrow at him and killed Abdullah bin Hassan. Brothers and sisters,